Hi there, everyone. I just want to say thank you all for staying, and I know it's a very long day, but it's an amazing group of faculty. And now you're going to hear from someone who is really like you and like a lot of people here. She is a patient, but she is also a caregiver to her husband. But more than that, I've had the pleasure of not only getting to know PatEngland, but knowing her whole family, and they have become our family too. They always volunteer. They do everything they can, not only to help their mother, their patient, but also to help other patients. So I just want to have the pleasure of inviting her to come up here. And I had asked her to do me a favor, remind everyone to fill in the evaluation form about cancer caregivers, because again, it helps us be able to continue to do this work. And we love your feedback and we need your help. So God bless, and here's Pat.
As Barbara told you, my name is PatEngland. I live in Globe, Arizona. My husband Keith and I have been married for 46 and a half years. We have 4 sons and a granddaughter and 3 wonderful grandsons. I spent my working career teaching high school as well as community college, business, and computer classes, along with a couple extension classes from Northern Arizona University. During the last 7.5 years of my career, I worked closely with the Arizona Supreme Court automation training staff as I provided computer training to all of the courts in Gila County. My multiple myeloma diagnosis was in April 2010. Fortunately, I was diagnosed early when my multiple myeloma was still at the smoldering stage. I'm very grateful that so far it has never progressed beyond smoldering. Feelings throughout my cancer journey. You have cancer are some of the most difficult and loneliest words a person can ever hear. It sets off an emotional roller coaster as you are forced to deal and do with things you never wanted to have to think about. There are so many decisions you must make. And of course, there is the fear of the unknown in how your cancer will progress, what tests or treatments will be recommended, etc. One of the things that was most difficult for me to adjust to was the extreme fatigue that I started experiencing. Just so that you don't think everyone with multiple myeloma will experience the same level of fatigue, I should let you know that a couple of years after my multiple myeloma diagnosis, I was also diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which is accompanied by chronic fatigue. As I found myself increasingly incapable of doing many of the activities I had always done, I began turning to my knitting and crocheting hobbies. At least those gave me a sense of accomplishment and the feeling that I could still be capable of being somewhat productive, even on days when I didn't really feel up to doing anything else. In the fall of 2010, I heard about a symposium that Mayo Clinic was going to offer in January 2011. It was designed to provide information for cancer patients and their families. My husband and I attended that Mayo Clinic symposium and found it very helpful. At that Mayo Clinic symposium, we learned about many of the new treatments that were being researched and tested in clinical trials. Those provided us with a great deal of hope. My family and I have learned to treasure every moment we can spend together, especially times when we can create wonderful memories of happy times together. We try to be better about not taking things for granted. We also try to find things to laugh about as often as we can. After all, laughter is the best medicine. Another thing that was very difficult for me to adjust to was having to ask others to do things that I previously did myself. When you've been a very active person all your life, as I had been, it's hard to accept that you can no longer do many of the things you previously did easily. I feel very fortunate that my husband and all of our sons have been very supportive of me and are steady companions as we travel this cancer journey together. One thing I gradually learned to do was identify which tasks each of my family members would be best at doing. We each have our own special talents, so it works best when each person does the thing that best suits them. Sharing the load makes it easier for everyone. It also gives each person a chance to get more rest. If you have family or friends who have offered to help, my suggestion to you would be to take them up on their offer. Assess what each person could best help with and assign them the tasks that best suit them. My oldest son is a realtor. As I began spending much of my time knitting or crocheting, he knew that one item I like to make is crocheted tops for kitchen towels. He asked if I would like to make towel sets for him to use as closing gifts for his clients who purchase a house through him. So for the past 6 or 7 years, I've been trying to keep him supplied with a variety of kitchen towel sets he can give his clients. He says everyone who receives a towel set is thrilled with it. The picture on this slide is me with my husband and all 4 of our sons in October 2016, after I was honored by being inducted into the Globe High School Hall of Fame. My message to you here is that there can be things you can enjoy and look forward to even after your cancer diagnosis. One thing my sons learned was to tell my husband that he needs to be sure to ask them for help if he finds he is getting overwhelmed or too tired. They are all good at offering to do whatever they can to help out so that their dad, who is my primary caregiver, doesn't get too exhausted. In addition to being a cancer patient, I'm also a caregiver. My husband has his own medical issues which require me to help him. I'm in charge of scheduling all his medical appointments, which sometimes can be a daunting task in and of itself. I'm also the person who has to follow up to make sure all tests are scheduled in a timely manner and that we get his results in a timely manner. One of his illnesses sometimes causes confusion, making it difficult for him to understand some things when his doctors explain them, so I have to help him understand what his doctors are advising. Monitoring all his prescriptions is another time-consuming task that he is not capable of doing himself. One of our sons helps out a lot in that respect, as he puts all his dad's pill boxes together to make it easier for him to be sure he takes all his medications every day. My husband cannot drive himself to appointments, so I have to do most of the driving. When I don't feel up to driving, another of our sons drives us to those appointments. All of this is indeed a family affair. After the first couple of years of my multiple myeloma journey, my excellent hematologist-oncologist had taught me so much about the labs he orders every 3 months to monitor my disease that it became easier for me to not be as worried that my myeloma was getting worse when I felt better for a few days and then felt worse again, as I had worried the first couple of years. I always obtain copies of my lab results prior to every visit with my oncologist. That way I can review my labs prior to my visit and make a list of questions that I want to ask him. It seems to work well for both me and my doctor. I would encourage you to learn as much as you can about any tests you have. Having more knowledge will allow you to take a more active role in decisions regarding your treatment. Once again, my family and I learned to try to find things to laugh about. Laughter is the best medicine, even if it only gives you a temporary reprieve from your disease. My sons have gotten very good at coming up with things to give us all a good laugh. At the first Mayo Clinic Cancer Symposium we attended in January 2011, we met Barbara Kavanaugh and learned about the Arizona Myeloma Network, which she had founded a few years earlier. Barbara gave us information about the annual Living with Cancer conference sponsored by AZMN every March. My husband and I attended our first AZMN conference in March 2011. The following year, 3 of our sons also began attending that conference with us. We haven't missed a conference since our first one in January 2011. We also attend Mayo Clinic's annual symposium every January. When Barbara Kavanaugh and the AZMN began their cancer caregiver education programs, my husband and sons attended almost every seminar. The past couple of years, I began attending the seminars with them. I would encourage all of you to attend any of these free conferences or seminars that you can, as they're very beneficial. Before my multiple myeloma diagnosis, I had always been a very healthy person and had never had to face any really serious chronic illness, much less one as potentially devastating as this form of cancer can be. One of the biggest adjustments I had to make was learning to accept that I was now a patient, and I often had to ask others to help me with things that I never needed help with previously. I had been the person who was always doing everything for everyone else. An adjustment my family members had to make was their new role as caregivers. They were used to me being the mainstay of the family. It was a totally unfamiliar role for them to have to start helping me with various things. We all gradually learned to accept our new roles as we set a higher priority on a greater appreciation of each new day. It took us a while to settle into these new roles. For the past few years, we have tried to share with others what we have learned on our cancer journey. Barbara and Jack have become such great friends that we consider them as part of our family. Barbara is a great source of information. She's always willing to help anyone and everyone she can in any way she possibly can. She has developed quite a network of resources and contacts and has a variety of excellent resources. Over the past few years, we have tried to become more actively involved in the events that AZMN holds. Since we live in Globe, we're not able to be as involved as we'd like, but we do our best to help whenever we can. We definitely believe that traveling the path together makes the cancer journey a little bit easier for everyone. Each person is different. No cancer diagnosis is identical. We all experience different symptoms at various levels of severity. Even our own symptoms may vary greatly from day to day, or sometimes even from hour to hour. As with our feelings throughout the facets of our life, our feelings throughout our cancer journey may vary greatly. As I said previously, this journey may often be an emotional roller coaster with many ups and downs from day to day, or even from hour to hour on any given day. Depending on what treatments a person has, post-treatment side effects vary widely. Even two people having identical treatments often experience different side effects and at different levels of severity. If you try to learn as much as you can about your cancer by communicating openly with your medical providers and asking questions, I think you'll experience a better quality of life. Learn from the experiences of others. Your medical providers may help you with this. I think an excellent way to share your own experiences and to learn from the experiences of others is by attending the various seminars sponsored by AZMN. They usually hold a cancer caregiver education program seminar a few times a year. Each seminar has a different topic and will provide you with a different aspect of things that you might try to improve your quality of life and make your cancer journey a little easier. Find your local resources. Your medical providers may give you some resources to help you get started. MMRF might also help you locate resources. Their newsletters are an excellent source of current information. As I already said, AZMN provides excellent resources. They have helped me and my family a great deal as we've been traveling this journey with Barbara, Jack, and the other attendees at AZMN events. One thing I highly recommend to you is that you always listen to your body. My journey began when I woke up in the middle of the night in January 2010 with symptoms that I thought might mean I was having a heart attack. A visit to the cardiologist my husband had been seeing for several years revealed that fortunately there was nothing wrong with my heart. My primary care doctor then began ordering a variety of tests. I tried to remember to tell her every symptom I was having to help us figure out what was wrong. My next-door neighbor had battled multiple myeloma for 2 to 3 years before he died from it in February 2002. I remembered that one symptom he had for a long time before his diagnosis was back pain. When I told my primary care doctor I had begun experiencing back pain and referenced my neighbor who had multiple myeloma, she added the blood test to screen for multiple myeloma, which she probably would have never done otherwise. A week later, I saw my hematologist-oncologist for the first time in March 2010. After additional tests he ordered, including a bone marrow biopsy, I was diagnosed in April 2010 with smoldering multiple myeloma. I believe that if I had not paid attention to those heart attack symptoms telling me something was seriously wrong, I probably would not have received my multiple myeloma diagnosis at such an early stage. Do your own research using reliable sources. I believe that knowledge is power, and the more you know, the better you can make informed decisions regarding your treatments. After all, it is your life we're talking about. Always get copies of your lab and test results. Monitor your records yourself. If your doctor orders a scan or some other test that you don't hear back within a reasonable time as to when that test is scheduled, don't hesitate to call your provider's office to check on it. This is one way you can ensure that things don't fall through the cracks regarding your medical care. Likewise, if you have a test or scan but don't hear back from your provider within a reasonable time as to the results, don't hesitate to call your provider's office to check on it. Once again, it is your life we're talking about. We all need things we can look forward to. Make time to schedule yourself activities you can look forward to. It doesn't have to be anything big or costly. It can be as simple as taking a walk in the park or for a few minutes to enjoy nature, or meeting a friend for coffee or lunch. One thing I have spent many pleasant hours doing is sitting in my chair in the living room and listening to the birds chirp as I watch them through the window while they flit out in the plants and rose bushes. They're often joined by butterflies. Make sure you take time to do things you enjoy every day, or at least a few times a week. Life is too short to not enjoy it to the fullest extent you possibly can. Never hesitate to get a second opinion. Many studies have shown that spending time with family can have significant health benefits. Always make as much time as possible to enjoy pleasant activities with your family members or close friends. This picture was taken at the Wild Animal Park in Escondido, California, during a family vacation to Oceanside, which my oldest son arranged for us in July 2013. Children have such an innocent outlook on life and can be a great source of enjoyment. They are always saying or doing things that are so fun. One of my greatest joys in life the past few years has been spending time with my 4 wonderful grandchildren. Yes, they can be a lot of work, but it is always so worthwhile. As I've already said, I encourage you to attend as many of the Cancer Caregiver Education Program seminars as you possibly can. They're free, always worthwhile, and a good way to refresh yourself and provide yourself with renewed energy to help you successfully continue your journey while having the best quality of life possible. In an earlier session today, Suzanne Hyde and Barbara Kavanaugh provided you with a great deal of information about AZMN and the Cancer Caregiver Education Program seminars they provide free of charge to all cancer patients, not just those with multiple myeloma. Please encourage anyone you know who may be experiencing cancer in their family to take advantage of these excellent seminars. Each year, Arizona Myeloma Network holds a golf tournament. This is their major fundraiser, which helps them to be able to continue providing their seminars and annual conferences free of charge to cancer patients, caregivers, families, and friends. If you're a golfer or know people who like to golf, watch out for the announcement of AZMN's annual golf tournament and encourage all your golfer friends, colleagues, or acquaintances to participate in this very enjoyable day. It is an excellent way to have fun themselves while helping to support such a worthwhile charity. This picture was taken at our local radio station in May 2013. Every year, our local radio station sponsors their Mother of the Year contest. Local merchants donate various gifts for the Mother of the Year. People in the community are invited to submit a letter of nomination telling the committee why they believe their mother should be selected as Mother of the Year. I had not been listening to the radio the morning they announced the 2013 Mother of the Year. I was astounded, very pleasantly surprised, and thrilled when my next-door neighbor called to congratulate me on being selected 2013 Mother of the Year. Among the many prizes were 24 beautiful roses in a variety of colors, tickets to an Arizona Diamondbacks game, which my family enjoyed with me, and many other nice gifts. When I went over to the radio station that afternoon to receive my award and prizes, the lady in charge of that contest told me one thing that really impressed the committee was that my letter of nomination was written by my sons. She said almost all of the letters they receive are written by daughters. When the radio station announces their Mother of the Year winner, they read on the air the nomination letter they received for that year's Mother of the Year. They gave me a CD of their recording of that program, so I have a very pleasant souvenir to remember that wonderful moment in my life. The lady reading the letter was choking back tears as she finished reading it. The nicest prize of all was that they gave me a copy of the nomination letter. My oldest son took the CD and created a YouTube video to share with various relatives and friends. Both the letter and that YouTube video are things I will always treasure. I think if you learn as much as you can about your disease and ask questions of your healthcare providers, it will help you remain more positive as you continue on your cancer journey. Studies have shown that people who remain positive enjoy a better quality of life. So enjoy your life to the fullest extent possible. After all, you never know when your life will hold an unexpected pleasant surprise. But when life gives you lemons, try to make the best lemonade you possibly can. This picture and its accompanying verse was something I came across early on in my cancer journey. I have often looked at it to remind myself to continue remaining positive. I hope you find this verse as inspiring as I have found it to be. Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. Thank you.